Alright, ladies and gents, World War I 1916. This is the third part in 4-part series. I've done already the reaction to the first 2 parts. Check the card if you haven't seen one. So now recap. And I'm gonna extremely simplify this because why not? So, Archduke of Austria got shot and Austria's like, I'm gonna punch you. Russia's like, no, you can't do that, no. And Germany like, what about me? And then Germany's like, you know what, I'm gonna punch Russia and France at the same time because France is gonna eventually join in. And then they're like, you know what, when I come to think of it, Belgium's not a country, that's just a road to go to France. And UK be like, but that road is under my protection. Then Germans are like, did you hear something? I thought I heard something. Alright, let's just continue. And the British is like, you see that? That's probable cause. Now we can morally go to war. So British basically arrived at French border before even French did. And French and British together fought Germany and Austria. They saw things around like, there's not much of cover here. How are we gonna play for long if there is not much of cover? You know what, let's just dig in trenches like bunch of squirrels. So they did that. Then they're like, oh look, it's Christmas. What would Jesus think? So they basically called a short-term truce. And they're like, you know what, when we're at it, why the hell not? Let's just play football. So they played football. Then German be like, you know what, we are killing each other at the border, there is that. But what about those people in Britain who are drinking tea and marveling at the mystery of God's creation? What about them? So they basically send the blame to bomb everybody in Britain. Then, British and French ships threatened Constantinople to, strong arm them into surrender. But they fell short to simple dastardly move of mines. So that didn't work. Then, introducing gas attacks, giving the sprinkle of nightmare to the First World War. Because how can you call that First World War the main war, the main event, if it doesn't have the special ingredient of horror? Then Armenian Genocide happens and they deny it. Even today they're denying. What genocide? I don't know anything about genocide, like a bunch of a-holes. Then Germans sink a US ship and every American's like, yeah, that's right, Second Amendment, let's go to war. Then US president be like, no, we are not going at war. So they didn't go at war. Then German engineering, machine gun fire through the propellers. So they basically dominated the air. Then Italy be like, what? There's a war on? Alright, I guess we are at war too. So they join in the war. Then Tsar Nicholas is like, I'm much better than Napoleon ever was. I can do this much better. So he basically fires his general and try to take charge of his army, which will result in basically massacre of his entire family by Soviet Union along the way. So US president calls Germany like, hey Germany, stop your attack on ships, otherwise every single American will arrive there with guns in their arms screaming Second Amendment. Germany be like, yeah, alright, fine, no attack on ships. So they calls off the attack. Then after many deaths, every leader of every country is like, you know what, that was just a trailer. The movie has just begun. Dun, dun, dun. So that was basically in the gist of what happened in 1914 1915 in World War I. Alright, let's watch World War I 1916.
World War I was supposed to have been a short and glorious war. But by 1916, a new kind of industrialized warfare had seen the death toll soar into the millions, with no end in sight. Naval blockades were beginning to cause shortages of food and fuel across Europe, while thousands of women had entered the workforce, replacing the men sent to fight in their millions. All sides were preparing for a long war.
Same thing happened in World War II, where women just went to factories and everything to keep the country going, where every man was kind of fighting at the borders, especially in World War II, where there was tons of people thrown at the borders.
The war has raged for a year and a half as the Allies continue to battle the Central Powers, recently joined by Bulgaria. At sea, the British maintain their naval blockade of Germany, preventing the import of food and other vital raw materials. Germany has retaliated with a U-boat blockade of Britain, but has to limit its attacks to avoid provoking the neutral USA, whose citizens have already been caught in the crossfire.
They're like, yeah, watch out, Germany.
On the Western Front, French, British and Belgian troops are dug in opposite the Germans, both sides trapped in the bloody...
By the way, I think in the first video I said that I watched a Blackade episode about, Rowan Atkinson's TV show, where they are in trenches, and it was World War II. But no, it was this particular trench warfare. It was about this. It wasn't about World War II. I saw it again. It was about this particular trench warfare the episode was about, and it was just awesome, man. In the end, they just do some dialogues and just walks off into the no man's land charge, and that's when the numbering starts, and that was so epic. It was about this particular trench warfare.
Stalemate of trench warfare. On the Eastern Front, the Russians have ended their long retreat and stabilized the line, but their army has suffered huge losses. On the Italian front, Italian troops have launched a series of costly, unsuccessful attacks against strong Austro-Hungarian defences. While on the Balkan front, the Central Powers have overrun Serbia, whose army is forced to make a bitter retreat through the Albanian mountains. Now, on the 5th of January, Austro-Hungarian troops attack Montenegro. They are delayed at the Battle of Mojkovac, but 3 weeks later, Montenegro is forced to surrender. On the Caucasus front, the Russians launch a surprise winter offensive against Ottoman Turkish forces. 6 weeks later, Russian troops occupy the city of Erzurum. In April, they capture the Black Sea port of Trebizond. Meanwhile, the British transport 2 motorboats to Lake Tanganyika in Africa. They finally arrive after a 10,000-mile trip by sea and land, and help the British seize control of the...
Damn, that's a long ride. When they arrive there, they'll be like, alright, I think we're gonna go to sleep, you continue.
strategic lake from local German forces. The same month, in German Cameroon, German troops besieged on Mora Mountain for 18 months finally surrender to the Allies. It marks the end of the Cameroon campaign. On the Western Front, the Germans unleash a devastating assault on the French fortress town of Verdun. German General Erich von Falkenhayn knows France will defend this symbolic town to the last man. His plan, in his own words, is to bleed France white in its defense. It is the strategy of attrition.
Is that what I think
Verdun
that is?
becomes one of the most terrifying battles of the war. A mincing machine, where infantry divisions are destroyed almost as fast as they can be fed into the line.
Damn, I knew that was... So basically his tactics was, this is the town they are going to defend at any cost, so they are going to eventually send in men at any cost. So basically kill off lots of people, so army gets weakened. So his plan was basically to win this war, just kill most of them. That's just too grim, man. And why is that town so important that they are going to defend it till the last man? I mean, I highly doubt there is any place that would be worth it that much that you risk losing every man and risk losing war. What's so great about that town?
In Britain, 1 million men have already volunteered for military service.
Alright.
But the government realizes it won't be enough. Britain becomes the last major power to introduce conscription. That spring, on the Western Front, British troops are the last to be issued.
Long time ago, I knew about war and everything, but I didn't know about conscriptions. Like, when I was a kid, I always had this mentality, like, people join the army to betterment for their country. But then I literally in conscription means basically government forced you to fight for your country. That's just effed up. People are walking around right now thinking, oh, this is 21st century. This is modern age. Nothing ever. But if World War III starts tomorrow, first of all, it's going to be one of the shortest war of all time because everything will be just flattened. But if it starts, you could see conscriptions all around the place. So most of us right now talking could be, pushed to, fight for the country at the border with close to no military, training. They would give you training, but that won't be enough. There will be training for long years. It's a war. What can you do? And like I said, that no man's land type of thing. There are some situations in war where they know most of you are going to die, but they have to throw you there. So it's a really weird concept, this war. There's a high chance when people leave, they're not coming back, and that's just effed up. You're basically an accountant, you're an engineer, and you're called to fight at the border because there's World War going on. Why? Because some leader didn't see eye to eye. That's just stupid. In here, a guy gets shot, and look at that. All these people died at the border for what?
Issued with steel helmets. The nature of trench warfare produces a high proportion of head wounds. The German Stahlhelm, the French Adrian helmet, and the British Mark I steel helmet offer limited protection from shell splinters and shrapnel. Neutral Portugal has been cooperating with the British, which seems to offer the best chance of holding on to her African colony, Portuguese Angola. On the 9th of March, Germany retaliates by declaring war on Portugal.
Germany is being too, I don't know, because of their engineering, they know they have better engineers or something, but they are too, quick to trigger. Like, you're against us, all right, we declare war against you. You're against us, we declare war against you. Germany basically declared war against France. They didn't do nothing. It's just, they just assumed they are going to join in the war, which they probably would have, but they're just going to join the war because of Russia. So they just try to attack them. France like, whoa, where did that come from? Germany is just too trigger happy right now. Maybe they are really powerful around that time, who knows.
On the Eastern Front, Russia launches an attack near Lake Narok to relieve pressure on the French at Verdun. But it's a disaster. There are 100,000 Russian casualties, and the attack fails to divert any German troops from the fighting at Verdun. In Dublin, Irish Republicans launch an armed revolt against British rule. It becomes known as the Easter Rising, and is put down after 6 days of street fighting.
Oh, that's really effed up, man. World War is going on, you're gonna revolt now? I mean, I get it. You have your reasoning, but there's timing matters, man.
In the Middle East, after a 5-month siege, British forces at Kut surrender. General Townsend leads 9,000 British and Indian soldiers into captivity. About half later die from starvation or disease. Britain wants Arab support in its fight against the Ottoman Empire, so it's promised Arab leaders an independent Arab state after the war. But now, Britain and France secretly sign the Sykes-Picot Agreement, planning after the war to divide the Middle East into British and French zones of control. Unaware of this deal, Hussein bin Ali, Sharif of Mecca, leads the Arabs in revolt against Turkish Ottoman rule. In the Battle of Mecca, his forces seize control of the Holy City. On the Italian front, Austro-Hungarian forces launch a surprise attack at Asiago. Italian defences give way. Austro-Hungarian troops are poised to break through into northern Italy. That month in the North Sea, the German High Seas Fleet clashes with the British Grand Fleet at the Battle of Jetland. In the only major naval battle of the war, the British suffer heavier losses, but claim victory as the German fleet withdraws and does not re-emerge from its base for the rest of the war.
Damn. So British being dominant navy for hundreds of years, they just went to the battle and crushed Germans like that. What happened to U-boats? I mean, I would think that submarines would play a vital role here, because you can't see submarine, you can't attack a submarine, but submarine can attack you. Doesn't that just makes Germany overpowered in navy? What happened to submarines? Why didn't they interfere?
For the summer of 1916, the Allies have planned major simultaneous offensives against the Central Powers, from east and west. Now they are needed more than ever to relieve pressure on the French at Verdun and the Italians at Asiago. The Russians launched their attack first. On the Eastern Front, General Alexei Brusilov has carefully maintained the element of surprise. His troops break through the enemy lines, in some places advancing 60 miles and taking 200,000 prisoners. This brilliant, though costly, Russian attack achieves its aim, as the Central Powers are forced to redeploy troops from other fronts to shore up the line. At sea, British cruiser HMS Hampshire, en route to Russia, hits a mine and sinks off Orkney. Among the 650 dead is Britain's iconic Secretary of State for War, Lord Kitchener. 3 days later in the Adriatic, Italian troopship Principe Umberto is sunk by a German submarine. It's the deadliest sinking of the war, with 1,900 lives lost.
Damn.
On the Western Front,
There's that damn
Britain
U-boat.
and France launched their major summer offensive, the Battle of the Somme. Hopes are high for a breakthrough, but the first day is a disaster. A long Allied artillery bombardment fails to knock out German defences, and waves of British infantry are cut down by machine gun fire as they advance into no man's land.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about from the start of the video. Infantry just, runs like screaming, and there's that guy, smoking cigarette and just firing machine guns. That's just effed up, man.
In the space of a few hours, the British suffer 57,000 casualties, a third of them killed. It's the worst day in the history of the British Army. But more attacks are ordered, and the battle will rage for another 5 months. Encouraged by the Russian advance, Romania joins the Allies. But despite an initially successful advance into Transylvania, Romania quickly faces a counter-offensive from German, Bulgarian and Austro-Hungarian forces. The Allied force at Salonika.
That's just effed up, man. Romania's like, that nervous twitching guy there, and like Russia is advancing. If Russia is doing that, I think we have Russia here, and I think we'll be fine. Let's just try to attack, just slowly get inside and try to attack them. As soon as they announce they're going to attack Austria, Germany, and everybody from all sides, like, you joined, I'm gonna punch you, and they just ran towards it.
Tries to support Romania by launching their own offensive towards Monastir. With Serbian troops in the lead, there are small gains, but dogged Bulgarian resistance prevents a breakthrough. On the Western Front, General von Falkenhayn finally calls off the attack at Verdun. the French army has honoured their commander General Naval's promise. Ils ne passeront pas. They shall not pass. But victory comes at a terrible price. 360.
They shall not. I thought that was from the Lord of the Rings, but apparently they took it from here.
5,000 casualties. The Germans lose almost as many. Verdun remains one of the bloodiest battles in human history.
Oh, God.
For his defeat at Verdun, Falkenhayn is sacked.
If I see some kind of graphics, it's fine. But if I see some real images, it's like, damn, that's just... ugh. Just heavy, man.
And Germany's heroes of the Eastern Front, von Hindenburg and Ludendorff, take command in the west. Meanwhile, the Battle of the Somme continues. Near the village of Flers, the British introduce a new weapon they hope can break the deadlock of the trenches. It is called the tank. But despite some small successes,
it's just some new thing. Maybe it will help. I don't know. It's called a tank. Damn.
Fast tanks are too few in number and too prone to mechanical failure to make any real impact. On the Eastern Front, Russia's...
Well, even if it doesn't make that much of an impact, just psychological warfare will be enough.
Brusilov offensive comes to an end. Casualty estimates vary wildly, but it's clear both sides have suffered catastrophic losses. Neither the Russian nor the Austro-Hungarian army ever fully recovers.
Oh, come on, look at the numbers, man. 1 million, 1.4 million, it's like...
On the Italian front, heavy fighting rages throughout the autumn, as Italian forces make repeated, costly assaults against Austro-Hungarian positions along the Isonzo River. The Battle of the Somme comes to an end amid autumn rain and mud. The Allies have advanced 10 miles at the cost of 600,000 casualties.
God damn it. People are
German
dying left and right.
Are about 450,000. The Allies reassure themselves that this is a winning strategy, because at this rate, Germany will run out of men first.
What I don't understand is, what were the leaders thinking? The generals and all the leaders, because this is First World War. Before this war was Napoleonic Wars, or what the major war was. This is stupid, because this is unprecedented numbers, like millions and millions are dying. They're like, I think we can win this. Just a few more people dead and we can win this. We are getting all this courage. They are not seeing like, holy, this is too many dead people, man. World War II I can understand, like you have World War I in your history. I mean, you can follow on that. Like this many died then, there was a gas attack, there was also a tank. You just have to follow. That's just World War II was basically a more powerful version of World War I in some way. But World War I is the original one. How did they went through all this? Gas attacks, tanks, all these dead people. They're like, we can still do this.
Meanwhile, disaster engulfs Romania.
Not even that. World War II had Hitler, like some extremist who want to dominate the world. There is no such things like that in World War I. Here, it's just a guy gets shot and everybody's pissed. That's it. Why didn't they just at certain points like, you know what, this is going on too much. Too many people die. Let's just try to call a truce. Why are they just like going end to end like, we are going to do this. Either it's you or me. I don't understand that. How important, it wasn't Isaac Newton. How important that guy was who got shot, Archduke of Austria. I mean, I get it, he's Archduke, but it's not like Archduke of World or something. Damn.
Country is overrun by the Central Powers. Romanian forces suffer 250,000 casualties. The remnants of its army take position alongside the Russians on the Eastern Front. That winter, Franz Joseph, Emperor of Austria since 1848, dies. He is succeeded by his son, Karl. In Britain, Prime Minister Herbert Asquith is forced from office and succeeded by David Lloyd George, while General Joffre is replaced as French Commander-in-Chief by General Naval, who promises victory through bold, aggressive action. amid the comings
So
and
the even leaders got changed, but their position did not. They're still fighting.
goings, US President Woodrow Wilson's attempts to mediate a peace settlement come to nothing.
For the
Neither
love
side.
of Americans who has nothing to do with this, they're like, yo, come on, man. Come on, chill out already. Try to broken peace. Americans are screaming there, man, everybody chill out. Just let's talk about peace talk. And they're like, no, I'm gonna kill that guy.
Is willing to make concessions. Epic History TV relies on the support of fellow history lovers. So if you like what we do, please consider pledging.
Yeah, seriously, people. If you have money to support some channel, this is the channel that needs your support. Epic History TV. That's the great content everywhere. Go to Epic History TV channel and go to their Patreon page and give them money. World War II, all around you can understand with all the horrific thing happening. You can blame those things on some people. You can blame things on other people. You can see the mentality around it. It was just one figure that was just evil and everybody tried to fight it. There was a noble cause there and everything. World War I is basically just some guy killed one guy and that just pissed everybody off, and one by one everybody fought each other. Sometimes this tells me like every country should have some allies, but not entire world's countries should form allies here and there and create this kind of 2 or 3 groups, because this would happen. One country get pissed, their allies joins in, the opposing countries allies joins in, and it's just basically a world war because of small thing. This is just stupid. Damn, millions of people dying left and right. 1 million, 1.4 million, 600,000. It's like nothing. Damn, that's just too heavy. Alright, people. If you like my reaction, please don't forget to like and subscribe.